Seeker, welcome to the Awakening Her podcast. I am so grateful that you've been led here, and I'm excited for you that you're answering the call to manifest more magic in your life by mastering the law of attraction. So cool. My name is Talia, and I'm committed to cutting the fluff and showing you exactly how to manifest more excitement, ease, success, abundance, confidence, love, and anything else you've been craving. So if you're ready to crack the code on manifestation, amplify your intuition, and play in the quantum, we are now besties. Let's do this. Hello. Welcome back to the Awakening Her podcast. How's it going, friends? Talia Joy on the mic. What up? Welcome. If you are new here or new-ish, welcome to my cozy little corner of the internet. I am so grateful that our paths have crossed. I'm so excited you're here. This is such a great episode. We're talking about unlocking your core desires. So we're going to go deep into what your soul is calling for. This is also the express way, but also the best way. Let's just face it, the best way to go after manifestation, to achieve your goals, to move forward in your life. So we're going to dive deep into this. It's going to help you manifest more. There are some things that you may have heard before, but I'm going to put a deeper spin on it, a different spin on it. We're going to talk about the soul. We're going to do my Talia thing, my team of light thing, and really give you a deeper perspective so you can really manifest more of what you truly want. Because sometimes in life we go like, oh, I just want that 5K for that thing. And then we get it and we realize like, oh, it didn't quite feel as good as I thought. Or now it's the next 10K, or now it's the next 100K, or now it's, and then there's kind of this feeling of always something more. And this happens with people, right? We hear someone will lose a bunch of weight and go like, oh, it didn't like take away all my problems, or win the lottery, or, come into a large amount of money and they go like, oh, I'm still like in my life, in my head, and that was something I realized as time went on when I healed my relationship with my body and also started making more money in my business. And I realized that even being in my quote unquote healthiest body and making more money, I realized that like I'm still me. So if I have a tendency to be hard on myself, or, not ask for my needs to be met, or, feel too overstimulated, like losing weight or making money doesn't do anything for those things. So that's the thing we really want to realize is behind our manifestations are actually core desires. And the cool universe trick door part of this is when we go after or toward the core desires, we end up manifesting what we want, and it feels so much better. We actually feel more fulfilled and pleasure-filled and relaxed and happy and grateful in our lives. And that shit's magnetic for even more miracles. So we're going to talk all about that today. I'm really excited to dive in. If you have not come and found me already on Instagram, come over, come find me. It's at Talia Joy Manifestation. I would love to get to know you over there. And I'd like to ask a favor of you, if you are willing, especially if you are a return listener, if you would give this podcast a rating, if you would, go over to Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen, give me an honest review. I would appreciate it so much. And if you love this show, if you listen to all the episodes, if you can turn on automatic downloads, if that's something you're down with, it really, really, really actually makes a difference to the show. And the thing with algorithms in general is the more that the podcast platforms see that people are engaging, or they're liking it, or they're wanting the episodes, etc., they're listening, obviously, it sends it out to more. And this mission is more than just my business. You guys know, right? Transformation, self-growth. This is the shit that heals the world. This is the stuff that has us all ascend into higher consciousness, into more happiness and wholeness. Like, aren't there people in your life that you wish would either go into self-growth a little more, or realize like you're the deliberate creator? And it's just that type of information that it has to spread, and it is spreading. More people talk about manifestation or the universe or whatever, but it's really important that we all move toward this, this new earth. This is truly why I do what I do. And even something like the podcast that is free, when I see the stats and I see all the countries that are listening, a part of me is lit up so much inside that's way more than like the money I make or making a new sale. It's like, that's my soul speaking. Like, yes, we are reaching the world. So I would highly I would really, really appreciate it, my love, if you would give me a review on or Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening. And if you turn on those automatic downloads, it does really make a difference and helps the show go out to more people. So thank you so much in advance. Love you so much. Okay, so we're going to dive into unlocking your core desires. So if at any time when I'm speaking today, when you're in this episode, that you're truly going like, yes, yes, oh my goodness, yes, this is what inside out manifesting is. This is one aspect of it. And this is what we're going to dive deep into in this transformative program, Manifesting from the Inside. So down below in the show notes is the waitlist link. If you hop on that, obviously free, you're going to get some extra goodies. You're going to get first chance to jump in the program. You're going to get the lowest price, all that stuff, because this is so important. This is the transformation that you've been working toward. And if you really feel me here, that's the indicator that this content, whether it's the episode or the program, is truly for you. So if you get the tingles, it's like that feeling is like, yeah, I'm in the right place at the right time. And if you do get that, I would consider hopping on the wait list. If this is something that you're into right now, you're self-led, you're into self-growth, you're driven, ready to really fucking manifest and really transform yourself and manifest from the inside out, I would love to support you. Manifest from the Inside is below. Okay. You may have heard me talk about something called the spiritual assignments. And this is the best word that I can come up for, or what my team of light has helped me to sort of co-create, because behind who we are. So the two main facets are behind what we truly want for ourselves. So if you have this desire to buy a little home and have a garden in the country, or maybe it's like a beach house or a penthouse or a mansion, or maybe it's traveling the world with a backpack, writing a book, meeting your love, whatever it is that you have in your mind's eye, those things that you're yearning for, behind those things our core desires. Behind our biggest wounds, our biggest struggles, are also spiritual assignments. And those two things together are like the formula of what you're meant to be, quote unquote, or what your soul intends for you. So when I speak about this stuff, for anybody that's new, I'm a channel, I'm intuitive channel. So a lot of this information just comes from my team of light. Over all the years of supporting my clients, I do a lot of intuitive work, connecting with the universe, their guides, etc., passing on messages. So I'm hearing this wisdom, these universal truths so often. And I just want to disclaim by saying that these are my truths. These are what feel correct and right in my body. And I'm also fully aware that right now I'm a human. I don't know, quote unquote, right? It's like the whole debate on everything. It's like, how do you know what happens when you die? I'm like, I don't know, but I know what my channels told me, what I've learned over all my years with my mentors and teachers. And, I've been studying the law of attraction since I was 14. And so there's been like the law of attraction part of it, but then also in the last 10 years, the spiritual aspect as I connected with my guides more and all of that. So I just wanted to say before we get too deep into this, when I say this is how it works, I want just to be clear that you feel into what feels right for you in your soul on a deeper level, the deeper inner being. And if something doesn't feel right, please just continue on your journey. Like, do not feel like you need to take on my truths as your truths. I'm just here to be a channel, a teacher, a way shower, and this is how it occurs to me. Okay. So the spiritual assignments on both sides of you, basically of who you are, your biggest struggle, and then what you deeply yearn for. Those two things are very much on purpose. And when I say your deepest struggle, it could be like a couple of different wounds or whatever, but it's like your childhood or the biggest things you've had to overcome, the biggest learning lessons that you've had in your life so far and from the first 2 decades of your life kind of thing. Those are on purpose. And when your soul came here, you being an old soul, when your soul came here, there's almost like an intention for like the maximum expression. It's kind of like in this lifetime, if she or if they really wanted to, we're going to give them the gift of a beautiful singing voice and a desire to be a singer and whatever, but that's going to really challenge them and make them step into more confidence and heal the insecurity of their childhood. But if they do that, they're going to be this massive singer or like make music from their soul or, some fullest expression, like yes, 10 out of 10 life experience. But I also want to say that The soul, your guides, the universe in general, everyone knows how difficult life is, how much contrast, how much density. We have heavy emotions. We have this physical reality that actually slows down manifestation. I can't get too far into that because I'll go on some tangents, but psychically or energetically and quote unquote on the other side, I believe that it's non-physical. So everything is instant. That's why you can connect with ghosts or ghosts, that sounds funny, but spirits, or even in your dreams, it's telepathic, right? Because there's no time to slow down. Like we don't have to speak through physical vocal cords and then have those sound waves travel over to the other person. The other person's ear registers. It's not that physical. It's non-physical. So they know how much physicality is here on earth, and earth school is no joke. Your soul chose this, and potentially over and over and over again, because you're hardcore. It's like the adrenaline junkie that like is like, okay, that was freaking crazy, I almost died, like send me back in. It's a deep journey. It's an earth school. Like truly, it's tough. However, if we choose to overcome our shit, for lack of better words, we can create this maximum expression. And your maximum expression could be like having a property and a farm and, growing all your own food and raising kids or having like, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be stages. It doesn't have to be gazillions of dollars. It's going to be you living your most abundant, free, pleasure-filled, fulfilled from the inside out life. That includes community. That includes you being creative and being expressed and being at peace. That's really what your soul wants for you. And so to come back to kind of like your blueprint as a human, it's crazy. It is like a formula. It's wild. So say, I'll just use myself for an example. Growing up, one of my core wounds is the abandonment wound, emotional, physical, it's abandonment/betrayal. So that really effed me up. It was starting when I was quite young, like 5 years old, and then rippled out and in so many different ways, whether it was a human betraying me or it was emotional abandonment or physical abandonment. Like there was just almost every combination you could imagine, and betrayal, emotional or physical or whatever. And so I grew up, first of all, not trusting people, not trusting the people that I'm supposed to trust the most, basically. It's easier for me to open or lower my heart walls, if you want to call it that, to people that I don't really know, but the people closest to me, because that's where I felt like I was hurt. That can be challenging. Relationships can be challenging in that way and other things, right? So that impacted my self-esteem, my self-worthiness. I fell into an eating disorder for a couple decades, feeling like I would be worthy if my body looked a certain way, etc. Right? So that whole struggle was one of my biggest challenges. The assignment of self-worthiness and self-love, that continues to ripple on. I've been healed of my eating disorder where I don't have any disordered relationship with my food or my food, body or, my body or food. But the self-love and self-worthiness journey is still one that is, going on and will be the rest of my life. So we have these core assignments. So for me, because I had abandonment, the spiritual assignment there, which I'm so excited, I'm literally giving you a chart in Manifest from the Inside where you can like cross-reference, like, okay, I have the trust wound. That means this, and the spiritual assignment is this. It's so fun. But behind the abandonment wound is learning to love myself, learning how to show up for myself, learning how to be the one that never abandons myself. No self-rejection, or at least, working on that, healing that, all that. So the broader picture is like, I'm an old soul. I'm meant for big transformation. I've got goals and dreams and desires in my mind's eye since I was a kid of making a huge impact on the world. I've always known that. I have desires of the book that I'm writing, being in person with people, hosting transformative experiences. There's these things I've seen forever, even before I knew what I would even teach on. I just knew. So those two ends of the stick, I want you to think about that. Like the big desire to make a difference in the world matched with a total lack of self-love or self-confidence. And so basically they know we're coming into this experience with these almost polar opposite energies. We want big things, but we've experienced so much shit. And that has legitimately, it makes a dent on you, right? It makes you act certain ways. It's called trauma. So that's why you've been drawn to self-development for probably a long time. Probably at some point, trauma healing, inner child healing. You're realizing more behind the scenes of like, wow, we can heal this. Collectively, the conversation's changing around, your nervous system and healing your wounds and all this. So we've been drawn to this self-growth work in some way or another for quite a long time. Or if not, you went through an awakening and it was like everything changed. That's literally your soul showing you that the path to manifestation is through self-growth. Probably traditional manifestation hasn't worked because you're not a surface level gal or guy or human. You're not surface level. Cutting corners in this area of life will not work. So once our energy is epic and we're in that magnetic state, then yes, write a list, affirmations, visualize, sure. But we can't just do that stuff without really looking at the deeper aspects. So to get back to the core desires, behind what you desire are core emotions that your soul is wanting you to experience more of. So let's just look at, say you generically, for an example, you just desire, let's just say money. I like to use that because, who wouldn't want to desire more money? So you want more abundance flowing through your life. You want to make more income. So we may on the surface level go, okay, 10K months, 20K months, 100K months. How do I do this? What's the strategy? How do I get that job or find a fulfilling career that pays a lot or raise my rates or make more through my business, whatever. And it's always how, right? How do I make X, Y, Z? And that's where traditional manifestation typically plays around, is in the hows. And not really in the hows because they always say like the how isn't your responsibility, but it is about writing a list, saying affirmations, feeling the end feelings, visualize. Like we've all heard this stuff. Yes, it's a slice of the pie as I've been talking about, right? But there's something deeper behind what you want. So with money, one of the very first and most common things that your soul is actually craving is freedom. And this is another literally reference chart I'm going to give you where it's like core desire. Like if you want these things in your life, chances are your soul's asking for this. And this is like, oh, this is such next level shit. It's like self-growth for the soul. So you can hop on board with what your inner guide and the universe, your soul is calling you for. And this is your expressway to manifestation. So for example, you want more money. One of the core desires behind that is freedom. It might also be joy, relief, expression, peace, ease, right? Luxury. Maybe you're like someone who, that really makes you feel like yummy and taken care of if it's like fancy ass spas and first class, and that's okay. So your soul doesn't necessarily say like, I want first class, I want to sit in seat 2A, but your soul can crave like pleasure-filled experiences because they want you to just enjoy. So whether you enjoying is in your garden all day with no job and financial abundance because you figured out a way to just be home and living off your land, or your pleasure is, jets in the sky, it's all gravy. Like what you want is what you want. But behind what you want is an essence, is a core desire. So you've probably heard before, or maybe you've even heard me say it. I want you to ask, like, just think of one thing that you desire right now. Maybe it's a successful business, you want to become healthier in your body, you want more money, etc. Just take 1 second, think of one thing just for this example. Okay. How is that thing going to make you feel? And if you've heard this before, just go with me. Continue. How is that going to make you feel to have that? So bam, your bank account digitally overflowing. Handsome, sexy soulmate in your room or in your house. Dream home, you're there. What does it feel like? Okay. So I would like to put on some music and guide you through, but this is a podcast, so we're going to keep moving. But those core emotions, and it might be like freedom. You don't have to have a list of 20. There's very pointed things that your soul wants you to experience: freedom, peace, ease, self-expression. But for you, connection, community. There's going to be something behind what you want. So this is now the playground that we play in. Once we clearly understand that we are freedom seekers, that we are pleasure seekers, that we are peace seekers, now we actually know what to focus on in order to manifest. So instead of all the doing, because I just want you to go back to traditional manifestation, say you take a course and they're like, okay, week 1, we're writing a list. Week 2, go take action on those things. And you go like, and then you're doing something going like, is this what I should be doing? Like, is this, okay, what did she say to do? And like, I think I'm doing it wrong. And then, my manifestation didn't come forward. It's because I missed the full moon chanting thing, right? And then we feel all down. That's not peace, ease, freedom, or fulfillment, or joy, or whatever your core values are, your core emotions. That's not that. That's forcing, helicopter parenting your desires, doing things like that's why cold affirmations that don't even warm you from the inside do literally nothing and probably light the wrong end of the stick. Because like I like to say, if I just sit here and go, I'm a millionaire, my brain's like, no, you're not. I'm like, I'm a millionaire. No, you're not. And it's this ping pong. That's not the vibe. Your soul really wants freedom, joy, expression, ease, etc. So your full-time job becomes cultivating more of those things. So when we come into the 3D and we're now taking action or we're doing whatever we need to quote unquote do, the practical steps are to align daily with those core desires, manifest from the inside. So if you're a freedom seeker like me, and that's why something like overflowing abundance calls me deeper than just, I want to make this much money. It's like, no, I want the feeling of freedom. I want to be able to book something when I want to book it. I want to give someone an outrageously abundant gift. I want to buy a home or I want to whatever it is. That's what we want is this overflowing, this freedom in our bank account, freedom in our body, freedom in our mind. That's why we want to feel better, freedom in our mind. This is just an example. You realize all roads lead to like freedom and peace and ease. So what to do is ask yourself, what brings me the most ease? What brings me the most joy? What brings me the most freedom? What does freedom feel like without it being that you have to spend a whole bunch of money to experience it? Like, what is freedom in a way that's free, just to get you to think? Like sometimes when I'm driving, I like to say I roll down the window, or now it's a button, but I didn't just date myself. Okay. Roll down the window. Okay. Put down the window and I do the little like hand wavy thing in the wind and it just makes me feel free. Or I go to the lake that's 12 minutes from my house and I float on the lake and I feel free. Sometimes when I'm having a shower and I'm singing my heart out or dancing every day in my office when I do my energy work, I feel free because that's what my soul really wants. In that state, I am magnetic. So asking yourself what makes you feel free and then, or peace or ease. And then sometimes there does require some self-work because we have that other end of the stick, the spiritual assignment of sort of our core wounds, right? So for me personally, just as a really quick example, if one of my core desires is freedom and peace, but my wounds of abandonment show up as self-sabotage, show up as negative self-talk, or, the different things that show up, I will start to notice, wait a minute, when I look at myself in the mirror and say that, or when I think that in my mind, that is the opposite of ease, peace, freedom, fulfillment. And so I start to want to shift the things that I'm doing that don't make me feel good, not because I have to. And that was like a game changer with health and dieting and everything with me, is I recognized that I don't have to do anything that I don't want to do. Like I can eat what I want. And there's so many times now where I choose to not have something because I go like, that just doesn't feel good. I've always been sensitive to sugar since I was a kid. So sometimes I'm like, I know that 2 seconds after I eat that, I'm not going to feel good. Other times I choose it. I'm like, yeah, I want some pie or a burger and fries or whatever. But it's more about the desire inside. And a burger and fries, when that feels right and that makes me feel happy, I feel that. I eat it, I enjoy it, I feel happy, I move on. And I know that that burger and fries is still helping me to manifest. This isn't something I plan to get into in this episode, but we are diving into it with Manifest from the Inside, is the power of the placebo. And they've done, just because we're talking about food, they've done studies. One was about a pie, and they had control groups and they had 2 groups eating the same pie. And one group, they told that that it was really bad for you and it was really high fat and really high in like saturated oils or whatever, really a lot of sugar, and told these people that and made them eat it. Whereas the other group, they said like it was organic and it was this and this and it was made by their grandma or whatever. And in the two groups' bodies, the pie digested differently because of what we said. And I've been saying this for a long time. I believe that food acts the way we tell it to act. When we say this is making me gain weight, when we say this is going straight to my thighs, when we say this is bad, when we say I shouldn't be eating this, it acts a different way, and it's even backed up by science. It acts different in your body. It's wild. So anyway, coming back to core desires. I'm just so excited with all this manifest from the inside stuff. I can't wait to share it all with you guys. So unlocking your core desires. So today what we're doing is we're really looking at that core. Think of the first thing on your list. If you could wave a magic wand, what are you going for? And how will that make you feel? And then the next question that you could ask this instead is, what do I really want to feel in my life? And that right there is what your soul is calling you for. Because more money doesn't necessarily bring freedom. But when you start infusing freedom into your life, you start manifesting more money, and then that money just amplifies, because something like money is just an amplifier. If you're anxious and stressed, you're going to be more anxious and stressed with more money. But if you choose and learn how to cultivate inner peace, inner ease while you're making more money, while you're on that path, then you're going to feel that money support you. And it's not going to be as stressful to get your taxes done or, manage it, because you've shifted inside. Money doesn't take away the problems. The soulmate doesn't take away the problems. But when you learn to feel the way you want to feel now and flirt with what that means, then you start to manifest exactly that emotion because of the law of attraction. So instead of thinking of it so like physical that like if I talk about money, I'm going to manifest money. Think of, if I feel freedom, I'm going to manifest freedom. If I feel joy, I'm going to manifest more joy and more things to feel joyful about, more things to feel free about. Sometimes when I'm in a crunch zone where I'm like, how am I going to create this thing? That's my cue to back the F up, focus on my core desires, and actually let my foot off the gas of like, but how am I going to launch this program? Or how am I going to get this thing? Or how is that going to work? And I just take my foot off the gas. I focus on my core desires, back to freedom, back to peace. And sometimes there's like 2 days where I don't even do a lot in my business. I'm more focusing on exercising and taking walks and journaling and reading and just being really chill. Other times I ask in my business, what brings me joy? Recording this podcast. What feels easy? Recording this podcast feels so good. Okay, there's what you can do, So always looking for those core desires of what you really want and recognizing that those are the through lines, because that is actually your soul calling you to your most fulfilling life, your highest expression in what that means for you. Those desires you have in your mind's eye are on purpose. Whether it's the desire to take your family to Disneyland, or the desire to buy a cabin in the woods, or to have your own job where you're, writing books or you're mentoring people or whatever, those are in you on purpose. And they will contrast, they will ask you to grow through those original wounds, because it's all on purpose. So your core desires are what you focus on: more freedom, more ease, more peace, have trust, have faith. Go do something fun and call it manifesting, please. Go to the beach, have some ice cream, or do a meditation and call it manifesting, because that is what will actually call it forward. And then as you go on your journey, you will be called, as you already have, to grow through what you go through, to start to become aware of those core wounds, how they show up in your life, and going through your path of healing. And if you do want that help and you want to join Manifest from the Inside, it's going to be so good, where I'm going to show you the spiritual assignment behind the core wound and how to work with it. We don't have to always be digging. We don't always have to go back to that one thing again and again and extract meaning, but we do have to learn how to free ourselves, how to learn the lessons that were embedded in those big things we went through, so that we can move on. If I asked you, what did that whole thing in your childhood, what did that teach you? If there was any blessings from that at all, Did it make you more empathetic? Did it make you more self-reliant? Did it make you, never treat your kids the way you were treated? Did it make you lose yourself to come back and go, F it, I'm going to find myself. I'm going to overcome this. Yes, I've been through this. But when you rise, that's what makes the phoenix. That's what makes the mud and then the lotus. Like, it's the rising through the mud, and you've already been through the mud. Life gets to look better and better and better from here. And especially when you're learning, you're growing as you already are. So remember, manifest from the inside. Start with the core desires. Start with what your soul is really calling for, and really notice how that unlocks more and more and more. And just for like 2 seconds before we wrap up, I want to give just a couple of tangible examples for cultivating freedom, because chances are you are a freedom seeker. It's somewhere on your list. And something like freedom as a mom of 3 with a job and a mortgage and a husband and all the things, sometimes I feel like, I'm locked into my schedule, or I have a lot of responsibility, or whatever it is. And I'll go like, that's the opposite of freedom. Like, I can't just take off and do this and that. But of course, that's focusing on what I don't have and I don't want, which won't get me there. But what I started to really ask myself is, what makes me feel free? And then, as I said, one day I was driving and I put down the window and put my hand out, and I just thought like, oh, I remember doing this as a kid on road trips, and it just felt so free. I have my playlists of music that just like, it feels like it's soul expansion music. And every single day I'm in my office and I put on songs and I dance around and I embody freedom. I just go like, oh, what does it feel like to be free in my body? And I'll just stretch, or I'll, sometimes I'm doing like squats to the tempo. Sometimes I'm just dancing like a goddess, rolling around. That makes me feel free. I take myself away to Airbnbs a couple times a year just by myself. And sometimes I'm either writing, where I'll turn off everything and just write, or I spend time just with myself, resting, doing yoga, being in the forest, just time alone. That makes me feel free. I can't have my schedule too locked in. When I have every day, I have this and this. And years ago, I'd have calls like almost every day, and they'd be all over the place. And I always felt like tethered to my schedule. So I created an entire business model around freedom, where I'm in a lot of voice memo communication with my clients. So I'm channeling, I'm, doing that. And then I'm doing my workout, and then I'm checking back in with them. And then I go for a walk, or I make myself lunch. And that to me feels free, while also giving really high level service, having multiple clients, helping them. I've found my way to do it that feels free. And because I've done it in a way that doesn't feel restricting, I'm incredibly reliable with them. I show up on my days. We have, this is what you get. This is how I show up. I show up in integrity. I show up strong because I'm not depleted. So when we look at things like that, maybe on your way to work, like going by that trail for 10, 15 minutes and walking in nature before you get to the office, maybe that would make you feel free. Or maybe one day, if you have the night on your own, you take yourself out for dinner, or you go for a safe hike or walk by yourself on the weekend, a little road trip by yourself, whatever. It doesn't have to always be by yourself. It could be with your soul friends, with your girlfriends, with your mate, with your whatever. But what makes you feel free? Just floating in a lake, jumping in the ocean, doing a cold dip, like what makes you feel free? Sitting outside, listening to music, journaling. These are things where we want to say, how can I bring more freedom into my mind? Less like busyness, maybe less stimulation, less phone, less consuming, and just being in nature, just listening. How do I feel free? Mental freedom, freedom in my body. Maybe when you stretch, that makes you feel really free in your body, or when you dance around, or when you work out, when you go for a walk. How can you feel free in your schedule, in your life? Can you carve out non-negotiable me times? I met a mom recently, and she's like, my yoga Monday at 6, every Monday. I've been doing it for like years. I'm like, good for you. Like, sometimes that's what we can get. This is my non-negotiable me time. And it makes me feel free to leave the house and do a yoga. No, like the kids are fine, or, whatever it is, the dog will live, they're fine, and go do your thing, So I just wanted to end on those tangible examples, because sometimes it's hard to think, how can I create freedom when I can't just like book a trip and do these extravagant things? That's what Source is asking you to do. That's what your soul is actually asking you to do. How can you create freedom right now, instead of waiting until you have the thing, thinking that you have to wait until you have the thing? Okay? Super potent. Feel it. Manifest from the inside, always from the inside. Okay, love you lots. I will see you in the program. Get on the wait list, my love. I can't wait to see you there. I hope that this helped you today, and I will see you in the next episode. Thanks so much for listening to this episode. And I have a quick question for you. What are you doing at the end of September 2024? I hope the answer is coming to the Shift weekend. This is a soulful transformation weekend for you. This is a mix between a retreat and a transformative self-development weekend, all from the comfort of your own home. This is about morning meditations, signature workshops, real-time practices as we heal, as we rise, as we craft our destiny. So this weekend is really about bridging the gap, finding your wings, moving from where you currently are into what you want for your life, into your next level. So if you're ready to fully step into your power, to release things like self-sabotage, heal through another level, step into what you have been wanting for yourself, and you've been craving an impactful, transformative experience, this is definitely for you. I will see you in the Shift September 28th and 29th, 2024. You can get in now in the early bird pricing. Check the link below in the show notes, and I'll see you in the Shift.